Good morning, everyone, and here it is on a Tuesday morning coming up on Thanksgiving, just a few days short of it, and just trying to get a little work in before Thanksgiving. So here we go. Yesterday, I worked on being able to attach something to the avatar. I gave it 8 different places you could attach things, so now technically it could wear hats, they could attach a backpack on their back or something up in front of their chest because you can attach it to the chest with an offset. And then I have the hips, I have the feet, and I have the right and left hand. So it gives you 8 different places to attach onto any avatar in the scene. That way we can now pick up different items. In this case, I'm picking up a golf club and working on a golfing game for putting. And yeah, so that's where we're going, that's where I'm heading, and just see what we can do. So let's see, jumping right back in. In the past couple days, one of the things that I fixed was the different avatars were actually 90 degrees off in their direction that they were facing compared to any other objects in the scene. So I synchronized those and fixed those, but now I have a couple camera and a couple odd things that I need to fix and clean up that were repercussions of changing the avatar orientation by 90 degrees. So, getting right into it. Okay, let's jump right in. And right now I'm kind of looking at the process that allows you to switch cameras. This one it tells it what camera to use. And then in the end of this file, there's some different functions here. I'm going to check this out real quick. Here's what I'm trying to track down at the moment. If I go right here, and basically when I turn the avatar camera off, notice it is facing that direction instead of the direction he was facing, which means that camera is technically still out of phase with the direction he's facing. If I change this to first person camera, notice it's basically that direction and not, well, let's see. Yeah, so when I walk forward, I'm technically facing the wrong direction. So first person camera, we need to fix the angle and direction of that camera based on where he's at. So we're going to come over here. I already know that it's WTW camera. That is the first person camera. So let's see, set moving cameras. It should be this section right here. The rotation Y in degrees has an offset, Y camera offset. Let's see where we're setting that, because that's gonna be what it is. We have an offset on the camera itself. This right here in cameras and in core. Well, let's first figure out in cameras what it's gonna be, and then we'll fix it. So this particular camera, let's first try it 90 degrees. Either I'm going to be in the wrong direction or I'm going to be facing backwards now. Okay, let's see what we can do. Refresh the page. Let's first, let's refresh it. I'm either going to be facing completely backwards or completely forward. So let's find out which it is. That is behind him. See? That's backwards. Okay, so let's go to 270 degrees. Not sure why we have to do this, but yeah, I know. It's whatever it is. He's 90 degrees off, so basically 180 degrees means you're behind. You're facing the same direction as him. It's just one of those things. So if I change it to 270 degrees, when I reset this, we should be facing forward. No, did it move? Or am I still? No, I'm still 90 degrees off. Okay, somewhere else there's actually doing something with this. I don't think that changed it at all. There's 2 places where this was being set though, so let's change this one too to see if it makes any difference. And then we're going to find out if that's even helping. If not, we're going to fix it anyway. We're going to find out where it's trying to do it. Now is it behind it? Or is he... It could be behind him. I think I'm off by 180 degrees, and that was the one that made the effect on it. So let's go 90 degrees there and 90 degrees here, which is when we reestablish a camera that's been deleted. So if I do that, then we should be able to get this going here. And it's facing forward now. Yay, that's what we wanted. Because now when I let go of the camera, it's still facing forward. Whoa, he's doing some whacked out dance moves. Okay. See if we can fix that too. Oh, follow camera. He already stopped him. Okay, fine. I think I may have clicked something. Who knows? Or it started doing something while I was loading something else. Who knows? May have still been loading dance move when I disconnected from the camera view. It causes some weird results when that happens. Okay, so we're here, and if I release the camera, now I'm still facing forward. Oh, that's interesting. I am off to the right of the character. That is something else that needs to be corrected. Here's the deal. The character, if I stick right where the camera is, then what happens is it ends up being inside the person. And let's see, in the bottom of common, I did some calculations and I made it define a couple points. Dx equals... Okay, this right here sets a point outside of itself, and then I use it here. What I need to do is this same type of positioning needs to be done when it creates the camera on the guy. I'll show you why. On avatars, basic avatars, if I scroll to the top here, one of the items I do is this. I'm using boxes to help set positions within avatars so that they all have a common thing that's there even before the avatar is drawn. So the avatar placement is avatar box. Then I do some other naming, such as scaling. That scales your avatar on it. I have a camera and I have a center view. So going from there, the camera view, here's the deal. It's parented. I rotate it. Oh, there's a rotation of negative 90 degrees. Yeah, okay, that's the rotation of everything else. The position on Y is 11 high, and it's basically inside the character. That's the problem right here. The camera view, I don't think I moved the camera view anymore. I set it visible or invisible. And then, well, the first thing I'm going to do is let's set it visible and see where it's actually at. It should be inside the actual person. So I'm going to set visibility equals true, and then we should be able to see the position of that actual camera. The other thing is when I do this, that's actually using that particular camera, and it moves it around as I do it. So that could be a little deceiving to that point. But if I do from the follow camera, no, we can't see it there. Let's try the self camera. No, I think it's inside his chest. If I just want to get a glimpse of where it's at. So instead of being a 1 by 1 by 1, we're going to make it a 2 by 2 by 2 box for a minute. That'll make it bigger than his chest, and now I should be able to see it. Oh, the other item is this was leaving him. So if I go back to that, no, I'm still not seeing the box. Let's see. First person. First person is kind of like, yeah, it's inside the character, but see, that's why we're seeing this other stuff. That's why if I change the camera to be little in front of him, then technically you won't see that when you go to first person camera. So let's, okay, without doing that, let's back that up. For some reason it's not showing me the camera anyway. Maybe it's smaller than we think still. But regardless of that, we're going to come in here and I'm going to copy these two positions here. Go back into the basic avatars, set that down. Well, see, that's got to be, here's where we're off. This is a dangerous move. There's something still using the camera positioning of this camera because it follows the guy as we move. So taking control of this one, blah, 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 blah. If I move this off centered, it may actually have some different calculations of the, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be the source should always be 0 in this case. Yeah. We're going to see what effect we get and see if this actually helps or hurts the cause. And we're going to do camera position. Camera position X equals. Also, that's got to be C position X. Otherwise, our position X above it. See, we have a position in scaling, I believe. Yeah, right here. We don't want to interfere with those. So let's use that. And this will be Z equals C position Z. That's going to create it, but the second I move, it's actually going to snap back to that position. I just want to see what it actually does. So let's get it started first and see. No, 3D object. ROT is not defined. Oh. Add avatar 3D object. ROT is not defined. Somewhere in here. Oh, ROT. The rotation. Rotation would be 0. That's what we're missing. And I'm also going to change it to first person camera so that we're looking through the camera that we're talking about. And let's see, first of all, if we see the chest plates or if we're in front of it. Right now, it appears we're in front of it. Nope, we're next to it. There's the chest plate still. Okay, so that still isn't doing what I want it to, because that should be 10 positions off. I think what it's doing is it's snapping back to its original position because we have this function at the end of cameras that down here we're setting this camera view position X right here and position Z based on some movements. What I need is to set this in here and that will calculate the new position. Angle 0 is to the base, so that should work for that because it is parented to it. Let's try this first and then decide if it's right or wrong. So we're going to say this is here and this is Z direction. Okay, and let's see what that does. Now this should be where it gets adjusted as we go. So 10.5 spaces off, it should actually be pretty far in front of it. We'll adjust it closer afterwards. Wow, that's 10 spaces off. I would say that we are definitely nowhere near the guy anymore. See, he's turning and rotating, but it's not rotating around the guy though. Okay, so we need to, first of all, we need to make it just, let's try 0.5. Let's just do a little adjustment to begin with. And then the rotation should be our rotation Y of the avatar. That will make it in relation to the avatar all the time. And now we should be a half of a step off from center no matter what direction he's moving. So let's see how that does. We're getting close. We're getting close. Okay. I'm still way off. Look at this. Oh, I'm not accounted for 0. Okay. Sorry about that. We need to say camera position. No, avatar position. Avatar position X plus this difference thing. Okay, and here we go. Now I should be based on his position and a little correction from it. There we go. We are in front of the guy now. And when I rotate, we are right there. Okay, let's see. See how it's starting to see something of the guy? Might just be the shoulder. Yeah, I think it's just the shoulder. It's little ghosts of it because of where this box is. I think... First of all, it's not tall enough. We're not close enough to where the head is. So let's make this box... we're going to do a couple things here. Let's check the basic avatars. Oh, I know what it was. Alpha on the camera was 1. Let's make it 1 so we can see that box. And camera visible, true. That should do it here. Okay. Okay, we're getting there, we're getting there. Hey, Unread Stu, thanks for following me. I appreciate it. Getting these pieces together, I have it out there open source. You can get it from GitHub. Got the link down below. And basically, I keep on plugging at it, making some corrections. In this particular case, I'm adjusting the view of the actual camera when you're in first person so that it sits a little in front of the person so you don't see like their shoulders and stuff from within its own casing. The other part is I think that this is like way too short. I'm going to see if I can see where that box is, and then we're going to make some adjustments to make it the right height. So when you're first person, you feel like it's first person. If I change this to self camera, let's see, do I see? Yeah, I see part of a box right there. It's actually in his chest. We need to make it up a little bit higher. So let's take that box, the offset of the camera view. Right now it's at 11. Let's go 15, 14. Let's see where 14 takes us. I want to see if it's even close to his head. We need to at least feel like we're a part of the head instead of the shoulders or chest. Okay, now it's kind of at the top of the head. We could attach, we've just added a new piece on the top of the head. What do you guys feel about cameras that move when he's moving in his idle or position and stuff when it's first person? I guess that's what it should be, huh? Because this box doesn't move. It's in relation to the position he's standing. But if I take, and just to do it, if I mark out that and that, I'm just going to try something. Instead of parenting it there, let's parent it to the top of the head and see what we get. When we have a top of the head, it would be this one. And we should do it right there, right after it attached to that. We're going to parent it to this, and then by setting it to 0, now we should be in the top of the head, and it actually should move the camera based on that movement. So let's find out if that actually does it or not. We're getting real technical now. This is going to be a good improvement. Okay, so first of all, it went from there, it bounced up. Let's see if it goes to the top of the head. It's moving with the top of the head now, which we can still move it off-centered and move it forward, but I want to see, we should get some movement when we go first-person camera now. Whoa, that's interesting. We're down on the ground. Okay. We're actually at 0, 0, 0 of the person. Let's find out. See if we can fix that. Yeah, it's worth a try. The problem is the bones, the object isn't created yet. I may need to parent on it after a period of time so that it knows, well, I don't know. It may not actually be drawn at the time. No, it should be. Oh, it might not, no, well. Thinking about it. Okay, so position and radians are all zeros. That's fine. It should default to position 0, rotation 0. So I don't need to necessarily say those. But if I do, see here I parented it to the other item, which basically made it sit on the ground. But here I'm parenting it to the head. Maybe the camera needs to be changed to no to parent to that. Because the box moved to the top of the head and was moving with it. I think we're getting closer. Okay. Okay, see, it's still on the ground. But when I click here and I check self camera, notice it's moving with the head. So the box for where the camera should be is there. If I go back to first person camera, it's still on the ground. Okay, I was just curious if I reset that positioning. It's worth messing around with. Let's go a little deeper. It looks like that would be where we want it to be. That way you get the movement of the idle. It is looking more like a first person that way. And then, let's see. So basically in cameras, camera, let's find out if this camera, when it builds it, did we set the parent? No, we didn't. We're gonna give that a shot. We have two places here. One is when it resets the camera here. So if I say our avatar camera equals, okay, we have the name of the avatar, which is, I used it a few times here, so we should be able to grab the avatar. There it is. This is always the name of your avatar, just so you know. And we're going to take this, put it here. Avatar camera equals scene dot get mesh by ID. And the ID is going to be this value plus the basic avatars are named using the go scale camera. Camera is right here. Let's add this to that. And that should give us the full name of the camera. And if that's not null, which, see, that's where I'm going to get in trouble, is because if it's going to be parented, but if it's not, if the avatar isn't in the scene yet, I think the order of operation is going to get me on this one. So I don't think this is actually going to take effect. But we're going to see if avatar is not equal null, then we're going to set active camera parent equals avatar camera. And I'm gonna, well, I have a feeling that's not even gonna do it at this point because, well, there's a place where we check to see if the avatar has been built. We may need to do it right at the end of that. And our camera is a global camera anyway. We use it throughout all of our code. Okay, so if I do this and I go to the first person camera, nope, see, I'm still on the ground. Okay, we're almost there. I think it's the timing. We can't set it here because the camera isn't actually created yet. But when we build our avatars and we load them, one of the things we have is right up here. This is where we check to see, is it my avatar, and then we do some additional stuff with him. Quick avatar, set quick avatar camera. That's if that's been selected. Okay, we are doing some different toggle animations. That's all fine. I'm going to put it right here. What this is going to do is, oops, it copied twice. Okay, it's going to check to see if the camera exists on the person, which by now it will, and then it's going to set the camera parent equals this. If this happens, in that code, when we take and set the quick camera off, to be able to move it around, we're going to turn off the parenting and then turn it back on afterwards. So there's going to be a little bit of code we add there. But we'll get this piece in place. Yeah, and also I noticed, yeah, Titan's pair 21 has also followed. I appreciate that. It's awesome. Okay, so let's see what happens when I tell it, is the camera now first person camera? And, well, that's interesting. I'm moving with it like it's part of it, but I'm not where I think I am. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. There's some offset in position. Oh, because I was already teaching it the new position. So let's take basic avatars, cameras. Down on the bottom of this now, there's a camera function, and I was messing with the position. So now I want to mess with, since it's parented correctly, we shouldn't need the avatar position. We should be able to take that off. And this gives us a little 5-degree change, and we do it to there. The rotation of this camera should be at 0 all the time because we got it parented properly. And the rotation of X is looking up and down. We're going to leave that one just yet and see if we're using it. I believe we are. Okay, so let's try this and see if we're in the right place for first-person camera now. Whoa, that is below the ground, I think. Okay, it may be that we have to start with something else. Oh, follow camera. Why are we here? This isn't even in the right place. Am I using those positions to calculate other positions? That would definitely affect a lot of stuff. Let me leave the rotation where it's at for a minute. I know the position's going to be off now because I'm working with the wrong position here. Okay, that's not correct. We're not even in the position of the guy. Without changing position, let's just go with camera position Y is how high it sits. We shouldn't need that either because that's a correction based on where it's parented. I may have to take, if I want to position something off that camera, I may have to take the world view camera position just so that it can actually do something with it. Okay, I don't know where I don't even know where, okay. Well, now I'm getting to where I can actually see my guy. But now the position of the camera is off-centered and wrong. So let's see. Oh, camera position. when we do that reset of the camera position, we need to make sure we can do some things here. Well, here's the deal. That is the top of the position, which happens to be here, which means anything else that we're dealing with has to be a camera offset. So I know I'm going through a handful of different things here, but at the same time, if I do this, then basically we'll get it to where it needs to be, and then we can recreate whatever extra effects we did. But I think here's the deal. We used apply gravity. That's fine. What's this stuff? This stuff is hold position if the camera position is still. Yeah, I know what I use that for. Hold position is used to see if I start the cycles and I know that the camera is in place. I may have to change that. That's fine. Camera inputs, not an issue. I'm looking for anything that changes the original camera position or uses it to set something else. That's the kind of stuff I want. So here we're setting the camera parent, which we figured. And camera position, this is where we are setting it to. Okay, here's something. Well, first of all, if I do this right, I should not need to set any of these camera position or rotation because it should be based on the top of the head now. That wasn't done before. So that should do that. And now we're doing all those based on avatar position, which is fine. Avatar position. See, that's what they should be, is they all should be related to the avatar position, not the camera position. I know, I could have just said camera position. Okay, camera position equals avatar position. What function is this? This is the... Where is this one? This is when it sets up the cameras. It's switch cameras, yeah. Okay, so this one is... yeah, this is another place where we're setting the position and rotation of the camera. I'm going to go ahead and knock those out for now, because I have a feeling we do not need to move those. And camera arc is fine. Camera follow. And nothing is using it as it's positioning, which is a good sign. That was one thing I was kind of worried I did. I think I've already changed those when I dubbed in the avatars and told them where to be. So we shouldn't be doing, so we're using a camera position. Oh, here we are. Camera position on the follow camera. This should not be camera position. When I knit the follow camera, that position can actually be, I may change that one because it could be based on the top of the head, the center of the head, there's a number of different positions we could use for our avatar, like these positions right here. If I said camera or even center, if I choose that position instead of camera position, then the only problem that has is if you load the follow camera before this is complete, then there are no positions for that and you end up with nothing there. Camera's always visible even when that's not. Let's leave it there for now. That shouldn't be too much of a trouble because that can even be transferred after the fact. Camera position for follow camera, we did it again. Arc camera, nope, we didn't. Okay, we're good on the other ones here for the most part. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there, believe me. We're fighting our way through this. We've already remarked out those positions. Our camera rotation shouldn't be here either, because now that it's parented, we can rotate up or down, that's fine, but we don't want to rotate left or right. That would actually cause more trouble than it's worth. We'll get the offsets to those after we get this hosted from the right place. Camera rotation here. Okay, that's good. This one, rotation X is fine. And I think we have it. These are, what is this? This is get my distance. Oh. My distance based on the camera. We can actually do that based on my avatar, which we set when we create our avatar. I think it's just my avatar with the caps though. Let me make sure I do this right. Get this in the right place. I know where it is. Let's see, we're about a mile from it. Okay, so when we create this, my load avatar. Okay, this part right here. My avatar is what this one is, and if I use this position here, get building distance, the building distance is going to be based on where I'm standing, not that. So that should be okay. Here's some more camera, get my distance. We're going to check it from the avatar instead of the camera. 995, 974. Okay, looking at the line numbers. That gets those three, and we have a couple more here. Get my angle to point. We're going to do it from the avatar and not that. We're going to recalculate these anyway and make sure that they're going the right directions. There's some places I have to check. Camera angle, okay, that's that one. Let's see what this one is. Camera. Every one of these, get new coordinates. They're going to be based on the avatar. Get new coordinates. Actually, that one's going to stay the same, and the reason I'm saying that is, oh, but get degrees rotation. None of that's going to make any sense right now. It's going to have to be the world view points for that to work. For now, what that does is, that piece right there, is when it creates a new box or something, I always put it right in front of the camera if you're working on it, and since we can detach the camera, that actually may make sense at the end. We'll worry about any corrections to that at the end. I think we're okay otherwise. This one, sound volume linear. Oh, this was another calculation based on camera position of where you would actually hear the different cameras or hear the sounds. It's a distance formula to see how far you are from with the camera is from a particular position. That's actually fine. We're going to leave that one alone. And then we have the core. Cameras created. It is because this one is created before we actually have anything else. This one, Y value. This is before the mouses, or before the, this gets done before we actually parent it to the avatar, because it wasn't at the avatar when we started. So what I need to do is correct these distances right here, especially the Y. Right when we load our avatar and we put this in place, which is going to be closer to here than there. Let's see, I think that was it. When we load our avatar and we set the parent to this, then at the same time we have to reset those numbers. Otherwise it's going to shoot off the edge of the screen. This is one of the places that it's recalculating things. So we don't need it to have a Y value anymore. It was at 20 before. That gave us a kind of an overview. We're not going to mess with the X because we're going to let it scroll up or down as it needs to with the head. And we're going to reset the rotation to 0 because that's actually going to move with the avatar when it's moving. So that should position the avatar with him as that happens. We're going to do some settings in this thing afterwards, but that should get us there. And let's see, camera position, here we go again. What part is this one? This is init the environment. Why do we have two different positions of the cameras? This one is in part of init the environment. Why am I seeing two different pieces here? Are they the same? 104 and 121. Oh, that's interesting. I did it there, and then I did it again here. Why? I only need this one. I'm not going to need them both. This one here is basically redundant to this one. Okay, so we're not going to need position X, Y, Z. That. Okay. Rotation, speed, and offset are fine because we didn't reset those down here. Okay, that turned out to be duplicates. That's a good thing. We clean those up. Now this particular line is used setting the start position of where we're loading connecting grids. That should be, that one's going to be a dangerous slippery slope. That's only when you call it though, so I think I'm okay. I don't want to change it to the avatar because if the avatar doesn't exist, that ends up being a problem. If the avatar does exist, then we should use it. So get connecting grids. You know what I could do? We could check and see if the avatar exists. If it does, then we can use the position of the avatar and make that load it. Because what happens is this. Your avatar moves and he either opens doors, or when he's moving, he'll load scenes or unload scenes depending on where he's at. And basically what's happening is if you're a certain distance from a connecting grid, it'll automatically go out there and look to see, are you close enough to even bother loading a connecting grid or not? So it has a little bit of a calculation, but it also sets a position of camera position, of where your position is so that it knows how close you are to it, because it does a distance formula when it brings things back. That also allows it to load things that are closest to you before it loads things that are farther away, because it's a sort order. So in here, what happens is if I do it to the camera and then I'm working on it in admin mode and I detach the camera from the avatar and I'm moving around, I may not be anywhere near it, but if I'm in the load zone, I don't want it to unload or do something different because of where I'm positioned at. So it's actually better to be part of the avatar position, but I need to know if the avatar position is actually there to know which one to use. So we're going to do scene get mesh by ID, and we're going to pull the avatar based on its avatar name, which we know over here is this right here through that value. And then if avatar is not null, then we're going to use these values, else we're going to use these other values. So let's see, var position X, set that to, we'll make it 0, 0, 0 until we find out anything different. We'll spell it out, position X, Y, and Z. In Z, and then if the avatar is there, then position X is going to equals avatar position dot X, and then we have 2 more of these. So we have a Y and a Z value, of course. And we put that here. Okay, these are all doing some great corrections for the stuff we were doing before. Now we can take it, and if it doesn't have an avatar, then I want to use the camera position. So take this here and put it there, there, and there. And now we just need position X, position Y, and position Z. Okay, so here we go. That should change that position. Now I don't have to worry about those ones. Sky position is based on my camera view. No, it should be based on, I know, camera position. Let's see. This can be based on the avatar, the extra ground position, and the water position, everything. These should all be related to the avatar walking around. So we'll go to my avatar on this. Thank you. And let's see, did I get them all? 1090, okay, 91, we got it to there. Sky size, okay. Okay, so we're good on all those positions and sizings. That takes care of that area. Here we're doing, what are we doing? This hold position thing. Trust me, that one I'm going to leave where it is, because that actually has to do with if we're moving, the scene is live. If we're not, the scene can go into a freeze mode to kind of just stop rendering after a period of time. It waits a certain amount of time, so you don't have to worry about it doing it while you're using anything. But that is kind of an activity timer related thing. So everywhere I use hold position or activity timer, then that should do that. There's a check distance here, and this is part of set closest building. So now the closest building is going to be in relationship not to the camera, but it's going to be in relationship to my avatar. Okay, that'll take care of those. And here, my avatar. Okay, we get that, and that one's done. I know we're making a lot of changes here, and let's see, what's this one? Mouse scroll. That is moving the camera based on when you scroll your mouse if your camera is not focused on the person. That one's actually correct. That's the way that should be, and that's from 505, yes. So that one is the way I want to move when I'm not attached to the person. When I'm attached to the person, it does other things. Okay, so let's refresh our page and see how much we screwed up. I mean, fixed. First things first, we're not even on the guy. Let's go to first person. Nope. Follow camera. Nope. Let's try moving him. Where is he? There he is. Okay, something happened where it didn't even do it until we got to that position. Now it's on the top of his head. Am I facing this way or not? I may need to give it one of those rotation movement things so that it doesn't get too jerky. So that's his standing still, and that's awfully interesting. Well, first person view would be that, right? And if you're walking, his head goes up. That doesn't get very nice. We may have to make sure his head doesn't rotate up when he walks. Or if you rotate down and then you're walking, and I guess that works. That's some weird walking. Oh, I forgot. I did the happy walk. So just so you can see, when I'm doing this, oh, follow camera's off by 90 degrees now. See his happy walk? So his head's swinging to the sides. He's doing all kinds of things. Backwards, it was a little bit more stable. His head didn't move around as much. But notice it looks up a little bit and just kind of goes back and forth. That is part of the happy walk. So I'm not exactly going to fix, change, or do anything with that. If I lower this box offset just a little bit, I should be able to get it right about where the eyes are. That would probably help a little bit, but we're still not, okay, we're still not loading to the right timing, because notice the follow camera, first of all, is now 90 degrees off, which we're going to correct. We're going to correct all these. That's the whole point. We're getting all these things oriented the right direction. We were off when I calculated them to begin with, because the avatar himself, was 90 degrees off. So now that I'm fixing things, there's a bunch of fixing to do. Some of it, like, okay, when I first load this scene, you saw how, just so you know, the base of the cup of the, right here, that's 0, 0 on the screen. So this thing basically followed 0, 0 on the screen. And so until I reset it, which is over here, whenever I change it, then it knows reset something, try it again, or whatever. Let's see. Something here triggered it, and it finally went onto the person. So there's something, it's not parented yet, it's not parenting in the right place, because otherwise we would have been at the top of his head the whole time. That's a timing issue, not a scene issue, so we'll get that in place. That's not a concern yet. We have some things to do first. And there's some more position things, because of course when the avatar isn't there, then I have to let it go to the camera position like I just did on that last calculation. So there's some things I have to correct, but let's go through some of these and fix. First of all, first person camera is now facing the right direction. So when I walk, when I do things, it's actually top of the head and it's moving like it should be. Now we could change an angular sensitivity, which should dampen a little bit some of the movements so it's not so jittery. Like when I go to walk and transition from one thing to another, it seems like it's doing a little bit of it, but I'm not a big fan of the first person view, obviously, but that is better because it is technically what it's doing. Follow camera though, we're going to fix this right now. Follow camera should be facing the other direction. So starting with, this is where we get all these things out of place, and we're going to get them into the right place. I wrote a function, and this function, we may be able to use one of these. Let's see. That's not it. That's not it. Move vector. Well, that's going to be the position of that minus this degrees. Now, here's the thing. It's a matter of parenting. So if I set the parent to the avatar, then basically it'll move with the avatar and I won't have to do a lot of calculations after the fact. So that kind of becomes my default. Set it to that and offset it by whatever I need it to be. That would give us more control and be able to rotate actually with simpler math than what I was doing before. Because as it was, I was already doing, with the cameras, as you can see, I was already doing compensation for their rotation and position movements while I was doing it, but now I don't need to. See, this process runs on set moving camera, actually happens while it's moving. So now, because of that, I didn't need to move it at all for this particular camera. The only thing that I do move is up or down based on how you're moving it. So if I go to in this same section, and if we go to the follow camera, there's a height set and a rotation offset. We do not need this to happen at this level. This is whenever I rotate up or down and look up or down. This one does a height offset on the other camera so that it can kind of follow wherever you're going from a certain rotation point. So it's actually changing the height to match whatever the rotation is so that you're looking past the head when you're in a follow view. To demonstrate that, if I go this, notice I'm bringing the camera down as you rotate. That's basically what I'm doing to go up or down. That's the kind of thing that this is doing right here, but we don't need the rotation offset. So by turning that off, that should help. Let me find out. Okay, so let's see. Camera follow. Okay, camera follow is created here, and when I do it, we have an offset. I'm not recorrecting the offset. So let's find out if camera follow here by turning off that rotation. Let's see if that already fixes the problem. It may. There is another place when it initiates the camera and switches to it that it sets a couple things. So that could be where we're actually getting off with it. So let's go back to follow camera. Let's try, for some reason, when I did some of these things, it eventually caught the person and moved to him. We'll work on that piece next, but as you can see, I'm still not, and I'm not rotating with him anymore. Oh, we didn't parent it. That's the problem. We need to parent it to the, let's see, what part should we parent it to? If we parent it to the avatar, it looks at his feet. That doesn't become very well. Let's see. When I create this camera, let's see, what would I want to parent it to? Camera would be top of the head, which actually that is what we are following with lock target here. So if I say follow camera dot parent equals avatar camera, and then let's see where that puts us first before I go rotating it and doing anything with it now. Let's see what that does. Now that it's parenting, it actually should snap to it as soon as I click that button and tell it to create that camera. Well, actually, that's not where it's doing it. Follow camera, come on. We'll get there. We got scene camera. Let's go to follow camera. No. I know. First person camera gets it back there. Okay, so that gets us to the right person. Let's see what happens. Follow camera. We're still 90 degrees off, but notice we're following him now. That's a good sign. And so we need a rotation offset. Let's find out. It's one of those things where I want to make sure I'm not setting the offset and then reversing the offset in another place. So I don't want to create the camera with an offset and then set a new one. So follow camera, let's find out what's going on with this one. We have a number of places where it's being set, used, and done. Here we have position. That's follow camera 2. Let's not do that one just yet. Let's get the follow camera working first. There's our height offset. That's fine. This one, we parent it, and we're not setting other offsets there. There's 0. And up here, when we first set it, those are camera 2. Lock position on the avatar camera right here. Camera 2 is whenever you're using the scene view and you set it to be the follow camera, then it creates a second follow camera. So that's why it's in that particular thing. We do it that way so that we can set the viewport on it different than the other follow camera. Okay, right here we are setting a rotation offset for follow camera. Let's remove that. And let's see, is there any other spot? Follow camera, inertia, camera speed, no other offsets. Follow camera position. Okay, this is not needed. We can set the position of the follow camera when it gets initiated, and we can set it to be directly behind him. So I think that might have been the code that was actually putting it off to the side here. Follow camera works a little differently. Before we were saying which angle to rotate, but since we locked on target, it's only about the position of the camera, and then it always points at the avatar's head. So you're always looking through the head to figure out where you're at. Notice we're already reversed in the view of where this is looking at, even though we're not using it yet. Come on, let's get it to kick on. I think there's a timer or something going on here. We'll track that down next. Oh, come on, come on. I think it liked some combination of me trying to move and something. Scene camera, first person follow. Let's go back to the first person. Come on. It triggered a minute ago. We're not able to rotate. I don't even know if we're moving the guy because we can't see the guy. Hello. Okay, fine. We may have to track that down first, right? See what's going on. Because if we're not attaching to the guy, there it is. Finally, we got it there. Okay, follow camera. Well, we're behind the guy on an angle. And when I rotate him, we're not rotating with it. Okay, that's what I needed to know. We're still looking at his head. We've got an offset and everything, but I don't think we need to use the physical offset of camera follow. What we're doing is we have a height offset, which is fine, but rotation offset, oh, that's always 0. We lock the target. Well, if we have to calculate it, we have to calculate it. That's not an issue. I just wanted to see if something by parenting it was more natural than doing that. I have a feeling that the parenting happens before our avatar's built, so it doesn't really know where to go. But we need to do a couple things with that because I need to make sure the camera comes in a view that makes sense instead of just off-centered from the, from not working. First parts first. Notice this is off to the right of the character. So there's something still setting that offset. It could be a 90-degree issue. It could be a rotation offset. We already marked out that one. Radius and stuff, that's all fine. Well, the other item that could be the case is we may need the rotation offset to be just a straight 90 degrees. Rotation offset is in degrees? I guess so. Well, let's try something. I want to see... Well, first of all, I need to make sure that this camera is actually coming in when we expect it to. The way to do that is when we load the avatar and we get the camera view, then if if WTW dot follow camera is not null, then we can say follow camera parent equals follow camera dot parent equals the avatar camera. That way, no, bad idea, bad idea. That's a problem because we now move the avatar camera. The avatar camera is now attached, to the top of the head. So the follow camera is going to be doing this. Not a good idea. That explains why there's a little bit of movement going on here in the follow camera view. Because it's centered on that. I don't think we're parenting on it. I think what we need to parent on is maybe the avatar itself. Because then it's on the ground, and then we can tell it to be a certain degree up from that. Let's try that. I just want to see what happens. Follow camera, that's when we're loading. First of all, don't worry about the initial place that it loads because I'm going to work on those positionings in a minute. So right there doesn't matter, but as soon as the avatar finishes loading, we should bounce over to there now. 1, 2, 3 now, maybe? Hello? Is the avatar loaded? I don't even know. So I can go up and down, but I can't. I wish it was facing a direction we could actually see our avatar. That would actually help. Let's see what happens. First person camera, follow camera. See, follow camera. Oh, let me see. When I initiate the follow camera, let's find in files, find all. You know what? I want to find the follow camera, and I don't want the... Oh, I spelled it wrong. What did it not like there? Let's go to cameras. Camera follow. Okay, let's do it that way. Helps if I spell it right. That would explain why I didn't jump to where I was. This camera follow is not null, then parented on the avatar. I just want to see what that does real quick. We should be at his feet, technically, if it works. But we're getting some camera views all straightened out and also the parenting of them. So it should switch as soon as the avatar finishes loading in the scene. There it is. We do have it, and it is moving forward and backwards. But why is it over here when I know for a fact... Whoa, it's off-centered. Yeah, we have it off-centered because we're rotating around that piece. Okay, now with it parented on the avatar, now I need to set the camera to be the proper offsets. First of all, we need to find out everywhere follow camera is being set. Make sure our position isn't going out of whack. Follow camera position equals, and we're telling it to be avatar position, which now needs to be 0, 0, 0. Our follow, because it's let me rephrase that. Our follow camera position, because it's parented on the root of the guy, needs to be just 3 values. Yeah, just because I'm making a big change here. We're going to remark that out, and we're going to set this now to X value will be 0. Well, actually will be... Now let's find out. Let's get a couple values here. And it doesn't need the step to be involved. Oh, that step was throwing everything off. I know it is. That was telling me the distance to be from the guy. Because the follow camera has an option of a step, which is setting the camera based on scene view or... yeah, so I'm going through all this stuff. So let's say negative step is the X value, which should put us behind the guy. Y value should be, let's start with 6, no, what was it, 14 that we set the top of the head, okay, for the camera. And then the position Z should be 0. That should put us directly behind set camera on avatar. That should put the camera directly behind us in position here. Let's see how many more places I set position. We're going to make sure that we're only doing it in the right places by the time we're done. We do not set position anymore. That's a good sign. That was... Okay, and the position before was based on his avatar, which happens to be about, 25 steps or so that direction, which would explain why it's off-centered when it loaded this. So let's see what we have now. Okay, when it finishes loading the avatar, it's going to move our position to the avatar. Oh, see, it moved over this way. We're still not hitting the right place. I can walk forward, but if I rotate, notice it's rotating this whole thing. There's some off-centered settings here with this. I may need to just take off some of these settings, and then if I do it this way, I could get it to the right place without... Height offset I'm still going to use. The rotation I'm not. Y offset, no. Inertia, acceleration, camera speed, viewport. Okay, we're good on those. We're locking on the target, and we're going to figure out some more stuff there. I should be going from bottom to top because bottom to top gets you each of the locations. We're going to leave height offset in there for the moment. I may drop that even in a minute and work on that in a minute, but parent is not going to be the avatar camera. It's going to be the avatar. So let's get the avatar here where we don't have it yet. Okay. I load these two things here. I get the avatar camera and I get the avatar. Let's just check the... I'm going to need this for both of these functions, so I'm going to do it up here. Okay. Var avatar equals... Getting the avatar without the word center on it. That gets the mesh of the avatar where it's created from the root, the ground. Okay, then we're going to say if this is not null, then set the avatar as the camera parent. Else, we have in our collection, we have, I'll show you where it is, in the construct, one of the things I created was it's a master parent or something of that nature. What did I call it? Main parent. You can set things to the main parent, which will always be the scene's main parent. WTW.camera follow parent equal main parent. There's always a, I'm sorry, that's WTW main parent. Okay. Also, that one technically has another name. We could do my avatar. That'll check to see if it's null and if it's loaded. That way we don't have to call it each time. I'll go through those and fix those at the end. We'll get past that. Okay, so let's see if that fixes the parenting issue, first of all. Nope, we have an error. Children on string that up. Oh, sorry. Main parent is not the parent. That's the name of the parent. Main parent mold equals get up scene or scene.get mesh by ID and the name of the main parent. And there's always a main parent mold before it ever gets anywhere like this. So I'm going to just say that. We can check to see if it exists, but I'm not really worried about it at this time. But there we go. Getting these pieces in place. And we're parented off that, but we told it to move a certain distance from it. And we're still, based on the rotation, we're still off-centered. We have too many settings here that aren't being used right now, or shouldn't be used. We're going to not set a Y offset. I'm going to try to clear out some of these settings that we're not using so that we only use the ones that we actually want. Rotation offset, that one's remarked out already. Viewport camera speed, we're good on the inertia setting. Y offset, we remarked that one out already. Rotation offset is remarked out. Height offset, steps and radius, I marked that one out. Position, we now have, we do not have the position set here, so we're going to set the position. That could be part of the issue right here. Let's go ahead and set the position. And this one's going to be, do we have the step in place? Yes, we do. So it's going to be minus step, which will put us X value behind the person. 14 and 0 for sideways. That will position it where it needs to be. It's always going to be, well, the locked camera, the locked target should have always faced our camera at it, no matter where we are. So there's obviously some type of rotation or something affecting our camera, because otherwise the locked target would have been where it points to every single time. Even when you're parenting, you should still get the locked target in place. So we're going to make sure we're not doing anything with this stuff. We're going to take that off. Viewport cameras, that, okay, rotation offset. Height offset, we're going to leave in place, and we're going to turn off that one. And position, we're setting it there. Else it does that stuff, which is fine. That's just getting us the target. And that should do it, because we have the rotation offset in place. Height offset's okay. Radius is out. Position is now reset. Okay, we've gone through a bunch of these settings. Let's find out if we're getting it where it needs to be. If not, we got some cleanup to do here. Okay, we switch positions according to that. So when it finishes loading the avatar, see, we're getting something weird here. Why is this position off-centered from that? What if well, this is checking everywhere the follow camera is being used, and there's only two different files it's being used in. The cameras file and the load avatars. Does it not like being parented? It's parented because obviously it moves when I move. So, and this rotation though is actually rotating the camera in the view when I should be, first of all, behind the guy. Well, if that isn't going to do it by position, then we're going to try something else here. Find in files. We had two places where we set the position. We're going to remark those out first. I want to get control of the camera, and once I do, then we can start doing other things with it. But the first part is that, and then we have a radius. Let me go back to setting the radius. Radius from the position of where I say the camera is. No, it should be it is the radius of the target, but it's not pointing at it because of the rotation offset. Okay. We got a couple things here. We're gonna get this straightened out. Okay, there's two places where this is set. We're gonna make sure that it uses it now. That's the offset of the radius. Let's see what that does first, because we just removed the positioning. Positioning is now gonna be 0. But see, what I'm wondering about is why the focus is not, it's not locked on target. Let me see, does it need to lock on target after it creates this piece? Let me copy that, go back to our load avatar. Let's get back down here. I know it's somewhere around this site. It's a code that looks like this. When we do the follow and we parent it, we should also do the lock target. We don't need to do both these because I'm already checking to see if the camera exists, and we're not using the word avatar in this, so we can go with just that. That should, oh, a follow camera is not null. Let's put it inside that though. That should set the locked on the avatar camera, which is pointing at his head. So let's see if that makes a difference. If we just need to make sure that the camera stays behind it, then we can set the rotation all the time and we can make that work. But first of all, we know this code is happening after the fact and it's not locking on the target. That is really interesting for it to not lock on that target like that. I don't think it likes being parented on that. I don't even know if there's a position on the camera itself, because between the rotation and the offsets, I just want to see if it actually moves. If I say position X equals minus 20, I want to see if it changes anything, because I don't think it's affecting it. I really don't think position actually is the right command for the follow camera. And next we're going to look in the code and we're going to look and find out why the, okay, let's let it finish loading the avatar, which kicks off this piece of code, and nope, see, that didn't affect it at all. When I go this way and this way, we're rotating around the center of the object, which is not where it needs to be. Let me remark out the parent for a minute. And I'm just curious if locked on target is going to make it point at the camera. It may not like being parented to there. So if that's the case, that could be something we just need to work with. Loading the avatar, and is it there? Hello? Didn't give me an error. Okay, without parenting, it never moved. So it did like parenting to it. It did not do this piece, which would be, which means we need the offsets. Let's do this right. Follow camera, When we create the follow camera, we use this code, which is Babylon follow camera. Copy that. And we have okay, height offset, which I've been using. We have rotation coordinate, rotation offset, rotation. We have rotation, a vector 3. Okay, so if we set the rotation, then we are basically working with that camera and doing that wherever it's at. It can parent even though it doesn't say parent here. But we set target. Okay, let me see. Okay, they do the radius, height offset, rotation offset 0. There's not a lot here. Target equals that. Oh, and lock target is our current version. So lock target equals target mesh. That should do it. So rotation offset is 0. I think it doesn't like being parented at all, so let's remove the parent on this one. And we'll clean up these pages after we're done. We're going to make it work first. We do not need avatar there anymore. I kind of like moving them to the first column whenever it's something I'm going to be getting rid of. And it's in my test areas. And then in the load avatars, this section, we're not going to parent it. For some reason it doesn't like being parented. It doesn't have a position, so we're going to set radius. And for now, I'm just going to set it to 25. And we had a couple places where we set it, and radius was a negative number. I'm going to move it to a positive number. That should also be 25. That should at least be consistent with that. Then we'll figure out what rotation we need to do after the fact. So let's start with that. Without being parented but setting a lock target, we should get a spin around from the target, which is the guy's head. Once we get that, then we can tell it where to be all the time. And let's see, where's our avatar? Why is the camera not setting on that? Let's trigger it by going to first person and back to follow camera. No. Scene. Follow camera. No. I know, it just basically does not like what we're doing here. Okay, I don't know what was tripping it before. Oh, wait a minute. Leaving that area and then coming back and moving? No. There's some things that change when it comes back onto the scene. It resets a couple pieces. Now, see, we're not even getting... Yeah, we're not even getting back to attach the avatar. Okay, active cameras, follow camera. We're definitely in the camera view. We are definitely... We're going to do rotation offset 0. Y offset, let's set it to 0 just because I had that in here. I don't want to not do something that I did before. Okay, so it appears that parenting it isn't going to work, and that was one of the things I was trying to do here. So now that we're not going to do this, load the avatar. Why do I have... Okay, so we're good on all that piece. Let's go back to the camera view. We were setting a position before, which is very interesting because it didn't act like the position was working. Let's go back to that for the moment. I want to see if it gets remotely close to where we were before. And we're going to have a rotation offset. And then in the bottom of this file, those are when we first set it. And here we're going to have the follow camera here. We're going to turn back on the offset, which we'll probably have to fix now. When it's not parented, this is the right type of code to be using. So this is going to take effect on how it all projects and where it all sits. Let's see. I know, starting it, aiming off the hole doesn't do a lot of good for any of us. Let's see if, okay, so it's rotating based on the center of this. Why did it set the target there? I'm just curious. Is my guy there he goes. Okay, so now we're on the guy. He's moving, but we're off-centered by 90 degrees. Let's get the rotation offset is camera follow offset. I think this is the value that we can set to move it 90 degrees, and it'll catch all the places in our code where we use it. So here we'll set it to, I'm going to go 90 degrees, whoops, 90 degrees, and I have a feeling it could be negative 90 degrees, so just to forewarn that, oops, I did it again. And here is 90 degrees, and we're either going to be facing backwards or we're going to be facing forward of him. I don't know, let's find out. First get past this part. And we're facing him the backwards direction, so it is a negative 90 degrees or positive 270, whatever way you want to look at it. But, whoops, that gets it in the right place now. That tracks our offset, and now we should be viewing him from behind like a walk view, and we're pointed right at his head. See, this is doing this. This is not where it's going to be, but notice once we create the avatar, now I'm looking at, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? Why did that just do that? There we go. Don't know why it's doing that, but that's another piece we're going to fix. Okay, so now we're walking, we're behind him. We have kind of a view here. We can rotate our angle. It's looking at his head. I could move it to angle at the centerpiece of him instead of there. Set the target as the center of him. Then you'd see his shoes and everything else the whole time he walks. Like if you're seeing him dance on the screen or do anything else. But that's kind of where it's going. Because the other part is, notice it does, when we walk back and forth, it is rocking back and forth. Where if I use the other piece to be the target for him, and make the follow camera, where's the local target, avatar camera. If we make this one always be the center instead of the camera view, then basically that one is a little bit lower than the top of his head. That's what that is. It's center mass on the guy. If first camera is self camera, then we go center. I could just, this is if we're follow camera. I know this could be screwing up some other things like I've done before. You should be familiar with that by now. Find in files. Yeah, I did that one a million times. Lock target, avatar camera, okay. This one on gamepad camera, okay. I'm not going to move around the VR cameras and stuff right now. I'm just dealing with the follow camera. And that's the one I adjusted there. And this one is the arc camera and follow 2 camera, which we're going to make okay, not going to worry about that. This one is scene camera is automatically going to be centered, and self camera is centered. See, I knew I had a reason for that. And then here, self camera. Okay, let's give that a shot. I believe I've got all the places it needs to be. He should be a little bit higher up on the scene because now we're going to be center masked to where we're following instead of the top of his head. See, I have no controls yet because we're actually not in the avatar. And when it finishes loading, okay, and I try to move. I don't know why it does this. It's almost like, okay, it works when it sees that object in the scene, then it finds it, and then it does it. Oh, that would probably be the case. Okay, we can set the initial camera position to be behind where the avatar is being generated. Okay, I can work on that one. I think that'll fix why it didn't load at the beginning. See, this loads just a little bit farther down. No, see, he's still bouncing. It's not loading off the center mass. Let's check our lock target on our follow camera. Somewhere we're still setting the follow camera. And let's see here. Locked target is avatar camera. This is where we get ourselves in trouble, so let's find that. Something is setting it to the wrong camera. We're going to make sure that it's on the right camera. Let's start here. Avatar camera is always center. That one's okay. That one's self camera, first person camera, scene camera, and this one is camera. We need that to also be, oh, that is the follow camera because this only changes it if it's one of the other ones. Actually, we need it to change if it is, okay, let's do this the other way around. I'm going to take this one and put it for scene camera and for first person camera. And then this one is going to be the one that it uses by default for the other cameras. Self and follow camera. Okay, that'll reverse that one. See what this does. Avatar camera. That's the same one. Okay, so we're good on that. It's going to be center. Nope, we aren't. Here we go. We need to swap this one around too. So let's put avatar camera on this one, and then change the default to center camera. So go center mass on the guy. And there we go. Avatar camera. I think this is the same one. And we already have that set. Yep. To be the center camera. Now here, avatar camera is camera. That's not going to be right for this. It is right for this, but it is not right for this piece. For lock the target, we're going to check right here, avatar center, and if avatar center is not null, shouldn't be null because we just created the avatar and he's all there. So that one should be fine now. This one is dangerous. What are we doing here? This one should set camera on the avatar. Oh, that's because it's a different setup when we're looking at that one actually is okay. That's during our setup mode. And this one is center. Camera on avatar, goes center, boom, does it. Okay. Okay, let's see what that does. Now, this initial position's still off. We're going to go ahead and do something with that in a second. When somebody initiates this camera, if that item isn't drawn in the scene, that seems to be when it picks it up. So it can't lock on the target while it's not in the scene. That seems to be the case. Now, see that? Even that acted different. Why is it now? Now it's 90 degrees off. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. Oh, because it's center mass. So we're hitting on this piece now. That one was already adjusted. This one, okay, here we go again. We're almost there. Trust me, we're almost there. When we did the offset, now that we changed the position, what we're following, the offset on this one should be 0 because that box is rotated. So let's change that. Which makes more sense. I kind of like when the numbers come out 0 and there's no offset. It means that we're facing the natural position that it was meant to do. But isn't always the case. Whatever works. Some programming things though. But the other part is the center now going to be too low? Because watch what's going to happen. Look how tall he is in the scene. We need a compromise. We need to raise the center a little bit, and I think we can get it up a little bit higher and still be okay. We are rotating with it. That's a good sign. We're walking with it. Okay, now I just want the center to be a little higher on the screen. I want his shoes in the screen, but I don't want necessarily off the screen. So if I change the basic avatar design, the center is right now is only at position 5. We're going to make it, let's try 8. It's going to move it a few blocks up higher. I want his shoes in the screen is what I'm aiming for, so that you can see the whole character, but he looks more like he's in the foreground instead of background. So by starting this here, okay, that's not too bad. It's still a little high, a little low. I mean, a little high in the scene. So if we go to, I'm going to check out 12. That's a little slower than the head, but it's going to be up around his shoulders up here, I think. We could show the box and then we'd know exactly where it's at. Okay, that's not bad. The shoes are in the bottom of the scene. If I rotate up or down, we still can get it to a certain distance. Allows us some movement. We want to make those rotate faster. We'll fix that. Okay, seems like it goes this way faster and it goes this way. We'll fix those items. Okay, so by default, you're at about this position and you're walking behind him. That's not too bad. I feel like now I'm following him, but I'm not necessarily connected to him so close that I can't see past him. So that's actually a pretty good natural feel to it. Okay, so we've corrected that, and notice how the camera isn't bouncing around when we walk. We had to make this camera that I put on his head right now so we can see where it's at. When I go to first person camera, see, that one is taking on the movement now of the head. So as I move, rotate, and walk and do everything else, you're actually getting all the movements. So now this is when we want to probably tone down the angular sensitivity so that it kind of gives us a more feel. Right now it's kind of really jittery. But if I change the angular sensitivity on that camera, I think we can make it look a little better. So let's see, camera, that was the first camera we create. So it's up here. Oh, wait. Where's my camera views? WTW camera, where is it? Follow camera. Oh, I remarked them all out. That's why it doesn't have anything up here. Okay, let's do this. It starts with angular sensitivity. Let's find out. Yes, there it is. Angular sensitivity. I didn't want to try spelling that whole thing. Oh, rotation speed. So we are setting that based on what you choose, but there's a couple other things it does here. Angular sensitivity is the movement. There should be the inertia movement, which is inertia 0.8. These inertia speeds and camera speeds, this is where this will dampen some of that movement, I believe. Let's see what happens when we go to 2. See if it's worse or better. Also, I know I shouldn't change two numbers at the same time. 0.9 may make it more sensitive. Let's find out if it's more or less sensitive in the first-person camera view. It's facing the wrong direction, and then when I try moving, is it doing it? Nothing is happening. Okay, let's go back to a different view where we know where we're at. Follow camera. Now it's 100%. Now it's facing the wrong direction altogether. Isn't that funny? That would be like the self camera. First person view. His head is crooked. Okay, I don't want to change those two things. Let's not open a can of worms and open something else. I don't know why that changed that, but we're going to go with not doing that. Let me guess. This also has something to do with what camera we start with and then what we change to, because it seems like when I started with this position before, first-person camera was coming right up. Now our follow camera is now 180 degrees out of phase. Now, I don't know why. If I go to first-person view, whoa, that seems like really, really, really all over the place. Oh, it's spinning around it again. Okay, something broke. Let's go back a couple steps. Let's not do... Oh, we don't want to mess with that position. Okay, let's leave this file alone. Wait a minute. Does it really, is it because I'm starting on different cameras? Let's see what happens when I start on the follow camera. Because it might be at some init settings where I'm picking up settings from one to the other. And like here, a good example, if I start with the follow camera, it's in place. If I start on the, again, see, now it's working, everything's good. And if I go to first person, it's all working. Okay, so let's go back, let's leave it on first person, and when I start this thing, I have a feeling that because I start on first person camera, it's doing something weird. Like here, and then it inits the camera, and then we're not on the person, we're not attached to it or anything. There's an issue with doing that. Okay, it's almost like it needs to start with the follow camera, because see, now when I go to follow camera, it's all backwards. Huh, that's an interesting perspective and situation. Yeah, so it looks like what I'm going to end up doing is probably defining which way I want to start the scene, and then I adjust the camera view based on what your setting is after it loads the avatar, because there's no reason to load it before the avatar is loaded. What I need is I need a clean view that tells me where it's going to draw my avatar and that it's in place. And then after it does that, then if you switch to it, if you saved a different view, like you like it in first person view or something, then it should be able to switch to that view. Because here's what I'm looking at. Right now, if if I start on follow camera and then I go to scene view, okay, I'm 90 degrees off and I can fix that. And self camera, I'm 180 degrees off. We'll fix those two different views there, and then basically from there we're going to be able to we'll have all three of them. All that is, just so you know, the scene camera, when I set the scene camera, it's right up here. I still use, okay, let me go to the top of this file. Oh, sorry, not load avatar. No wonder I'm not in the right place. Cameras file. When I load the scene camera, what you should know is that the scene camera is the same camera as the follow camera. So we're using the actual follow camera. So by setting it to scene, let's see, first of all, where is my... So basically, it is using this camera right here by default. Then the only thing that changes if you're using a scene camera over the other one is the, well, rotation offset should be the same. We didn't change anything there. Yeah, we're going to have to track down and try a couple things. Okay, and yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. So, yeah, I should address you, but you know something? You can make all your choices you want, and in this particular thing, what I'm trying to do is I'm actually creating a scene. I'm creating a project that works like WordPress, where you can actually create different things, such as scenes, buildings, and things, and then you put it together. So okay, so we're doing this stuff, and basically I'm getting there. We have a scene camera, we have first person camera, follow cameras, and we have the different, you know, the second camera. That one still came on the right view for the scene camera. So we got a few more things to work out in this bunch, but we'll get it. We'll get it. Just like here, reverse the view, because we actually changed those angular camera views, and we're not setting them back in the right place. So we'll track that down. And then we're going to keep on doing. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we got here. These things were just here temporarily, just so you know. I was working on a handful of different things so that you can use these functions within your code. And we're going to be playing around with some of those. But yeah, been going for a couple hours straight here, so I'm going to take about a 5-minute break and then come back, and we'll finish up for today by working on some more of these camera angles. We still definitely have something off by the different parts, but we are making progress, because when we load using the follow camera alone, it's actually lined up the right way. Okay, so we have that here, and basically we can load that. And so we worked on that one, and we worked on the first person camera to actually attach it to the head so it moves around with the top of the head now. So we fixed 2 of them today, and obviously, even when I go back to the follow camera, those settings, what's happening is when we switch to the camera, this particular setting for the follow camera here is not resetting to its original positioning. So our offsets are wrong. We'll have to make sure, we've got to make sure that it's not applying an offset again or something. But yeah, we'll get it straight. We'll get it straight. We also have the radius, which could be in the wrong position. We'll see. Okay, so we're getting there. But, okay, let's see here. Okay, well, I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, and I'll be right back. Got to refill my coffee cup, and I will be back. Okay, so what I've got here, what we've been doing today is we're working on some of these things. There's a difference between when it does a starting setup and the initial things, and then this here basically turns off and on those cameras and adjusts some different settings of them. So I need to make sure that I need to check the initial settings compared to when they get repainted when you switch back to them, because I think what's happening is we're setting the initial settings right, and that's when it comes back on. Let's see. There's 3 places where I'm setting settings with these. One is when they first get created, which is this thing when you hit the follow camera. So basically, in here we have, the follow camera gets created and the Y offset 0. See, we're not setting a lot of things when we first do it. But for some reason, when I switch to the camera, I'm applying a lot more settings. And when I do, this seems to throw it off because the initial view is actually correct. So if I'm setting some of these initial pieces here, I should be able to defeat this. I should be able to set the initial pieces in here and then just turn the camera back on and only adjust different settings when needed. That's what I should be able to do. The switch camera should have grabbed that. It should have done it. So should have is a good, interesting word to use. Should have doesn't mean it's ready to. But what we do know is this one isn't going to parent on there, so I'm going to clean up a little bit of that. And we also are going to remain with parenting it on the center of the mask instead of in the other place, so that cleans up that part. See, the only things I have is the Y offset. I did not set any other settings here. Oh, because I knit the follow camera and it's technically not even being used as that type of a camera until we actually turn it on with the switch view. So what happens is when we load the avatar, this is what I was curious. Set camera on avatar, we do it here, and follow camera, we lock the target to the center, and that's when it gets used. Follow camera, these are the settings we're using. And step is related to, see, what do I have step here? Step equals 5 or step equals 25, depending on what kind of camera it's using. That's fine. We're just changing the radius. Y camera offset. See, this stuff is initiating. So this stuff is happening when it turns the camera on and it loads the avatar. Okay, so this is the piece that's initiating. See, the problem is I've got this, then I have the switching cameras where it changes things, and the init just starts the camera without these settings. Okay, we'll get it. We'll get it. I just got to play around with a couple of these settings and we'll get it back in place. Because here, okay, init follow camera, that's only when it's not created yet. And the same thing for number 2, it only creates it if it's null. Okay, so those aren't anything here. This particular one, set camera on avatar. Let's find out when this one's being called. This one, I would guess, is being called, well, it's being called a number of places. It sets the avatar, the camera on the avatar after you get your saved avatar. Okay, so that's just lining up the camera. That's actually fine. We got all those. And this one, next setup mode. Okay, that's all fine. Okay, so that's when it's doing it. Okay, that's not a problem. So that that puts those items when it's going to run, when it first loads the scene. This is what it's using, which means our camera Y offset. Camera Y offset's probably being changed when I do some of these other pieces. Okay. Let's see. We have a camera Y offset being set here. Depending on which camera you use. First camera, second camera Y offset. That may be part of it. That should be the distance. That's the height of the camera. That's not our issue. Okay. Okay, well, I need to track down this stuff, and we've been doing pretty good today, going strong for a couple hours, so I'm going to go ahead and take a break and have some breakfast, and actually it's breakfast time. I haven't eaten yet. And then I'll see you again when I'm on. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again real soon. But thank you for watching. And thank you others for sharing. I appreciate that. And I'll keep going.